Chosen one, let me ask you something. Have you been feeling drained lately? Does your spirit feel heavy, as though you've been carrying a burden far greater than your own strength? Have you been experiencing prophetic dreams, angelic visitations, or powerful spiritual encounters that leave you wondering, Lord, what are you trying to tell me? If so, hear me clearly. This is not by accident. This is not random. This message has reached you at the exact moment you needed it. And I'll tell you something boldly. If you are not a chosen one, this message is not for you. Scroll away. But if you know deep in your heart that you are marked, that God has set you apart, then stay with me. Because God is speaking directly to you right now. He is saying, it is time to get rest. Chosen ones, you've been fighting battles in silence. You've been carrying spiritual warfare on your back while the world sleeps unaware. You've endured pain, rejection, loneliness, and yet you kept pressing forward. But listen to me carefully. God never intended for his chosen ones to live in constant exhaustion. Even Jesus himself, the Son of God, withdrew to rest. Every prophet, every servant of God was commanded to pause, to sleep, to recover before the next assignment. This divine message is coming to you now because your season is shifting. Rest is not weakness, it is divine alignment. And if this word is striking your spirit, type 777 or 444 in the comments right now, and let me know this is speaking to you. Before we go deeper, make sure you subscribe to our channel, tap that bell so you never miss a message, and share this with another chosen one who needs this word today. The burden of the chosen one. Chosen one, you already know this truth deep inside. The road you walk is not the same as everyone else's. While the world lives comfortably, you face battles that others cannot even see. You've been chosen, marked, and set apart. And because of that, the burden on your shoulders often feels heavier than what seems fair. But let me remind you, this weight is not a curse. It is proof of your calling. You see, chosen ones are not ordinary. You have a spiritual assignment that stretches beyond the natural. That's why your journey has been filled with constant trials, rejection, and misunderstandings. People can't figure you out. They question your motives. They distance themselves. And yet you remain faithful. You endure storms that should have destroyed you. You face warfare that should have silenced you. And still, you stand. That chosen one is evidence of divine favor. But with great calling comes great struggle. Many of you are carrying wounds that nobody knows about. Silent tears at night, sleepless hours filled with thoughts you can't explain, prophetic dreams that shake you, angelic visitations that remind you that heaven is watching, even when no one else is. And yet in the middle of all this, you often forget something vital. Even the chosen must rest. Think of Moses leading an entire nation through the wilderness. The burden was so heavy that at times he cried out to God, saying, "This is too much for me." Elijah, after calling fire from heaven, was so weary he prayed to die. But God instead told him to rest, to eat, and to regain his strength. Jeremiah wept constantly over the rebellion of Israel. David fled from cave to cave, hiding from Saul, exhausted in his body, but chosen in his spirit. Why am I telling you this? Because you need to see that your struggle is not new. Every chosen one before you carried burdens, and every chosen one before you also had to learn the necessity of divine rest. The burden of the chosen one is this: you are fighting not only for yourself, but for generations. Your battles are not just about your personal life. They are spiritual wars connected to your bloodline, your community, and even your destiny. That's why the warfare is so intense. That's why you feel drained, because you are shifting spiritual atmospheres every single day. And let's be honest, you felt the exhaustion, the weariness that seeps into your bones. The moments when you wanted to quit, but something inside wouldn't let you. The nights where prophetic dreams shook you awake, but you didn't understand what they meant. The days where you pushed through spiritual encounters without pausing to interpret the divine message. This chosen one is the burden of carrying God's mantle. But here is what you must remember. The burden is not meant to break you. God never intended for his chosen ones to be crushed under the weight of their calling. He allows the heaviness to shape you, but he also commands you to rest, to step aside, to allow him to carry what you cannot. Because when you refuse to rest, you are trying to be God in your own life. And that is not your assignment. Your assignment is obedience. Your assignment is faithfulness. Your assignment is endurance. But nowhere in Scripture were you told to run without pause. God designed rest into creation itself. Even he rested on the seventh day, not because he was tired, but to establish a divine principle. Rest is holy. So why do chosen ones resist it? Because the burden makes you feel responsible for everything. You worry that if you pause, you will fall behind. You fear that if you rest, the enemy will gain ground. You believe that pushing harder makes you stronger. But let me speak to you with authority. Exhaustion is not strength, and rest is not weakness. Rest is obedience. Think of it this way. When soldiers go to war, they do not fight 24 hours a day. They rotate, they regroup, they rest so that when the battle resumes, they are ready. How much more should chosen ones fighting spiritual warfare learn to rest? The burden is real. The weight is undeniable. But so is God's promise. He said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." That is not a suggestion. That is a divine message for chosen ones. It is His reminder that you are not built to run endlessly. You are built to obey His rhythm. Work, war, rest, and rise again. So chosen one, do not despise the heaviness you feel. Do not despise the loneliness, the rejection, the tears. They are proof that you carry something greater than yourself. But also do not despise the rest that God is commanding you to take, because in that rest is healing. In that rest is revelation. And in that rest is the strength you will need for what is coming next. The burden of the chosen one is heavy, but God is faithful. And when He says it's time to rest, it is not just permission. It is instruction, prophetic dreams, and angelic visitations. Chosen one, have you noticed that your sleep is not like everyone else's? While others rest without thought, your nights are filled with prophetic dreams, angelic visitations, and deep spiritual encounters. This is not coincidence. It is part of your calling. When you lie down, heaven often speaks. Your spirit does not sleep the way your body does. Instead, it communes with the divine. God has always used dreams as a channel of communication with His chosen ones. Joseph dreamed of his rise long before he sat on Pharaoh's throne. Daniel saw visions of kingdoms and received angelic interpretation. Jacob wrestled with the divine in the middle of the night and awoke forever changed. Chosen ones, you walk this same path. The prophetic dreams you have, the angelic visitation you experience, they are divine messages guiding your next steps. But here is where many stumble. Instead of paying attention, they dismiss these encounters as random, or they become so overwhelmed by life that they don't stop to interpret what God is saying. Understand this, prophetic dreams are never meaningless. When the Spirit visits you at night, when angels appear in your sleep, or even in your quiet moments, heaven is sending you instructions. Often when God is calling you into rest, you will begin to dream of still waters, open fields, or even of lying down. You may see symbols of peace, beds, quiet houses, rivers flowing gently. These are not just dreams. They are divine confirmations that God is telling you. Pause, step back, let me renew you. Angelic visitation during such times often carries a presence of peace so heavy that you wake up with tears in your eyes or with a strange but undeniable calm in your spirit. Chosen one, do not ignore these signs. They are not ordinary. They are God's way of preparing you for the next season. Think of Elijah. After his greatest victory on Mount Carmel, he collapsed in exhaustion under a tree. What happened? An angel appeared, touched him, and told him to eat and rest, for the journey ahead was too great. That angelic visitation was not for excitement. It was for recovery. It was a reminder that chosen ones cannot run on empty. And maybe you've been experiencing this lately. Prophetic dreams that seem to repeat. Angelic visitations that bring you peace when everything in your waking life feels like chaos. Chosen one, these are confirmations that God is aligning you with divine rest. Don't dismiss them. Don't explain them away. Receive them as holy instructions. Sometimes your prophetic dreams may even warn you of what happens if you refuse to rest. You might see storms, chaotic roads, or yourself stumbling. These are not to scare you. They are to show you the cost of disobedience. Rest is not optional for chosen ones. It is a command wrapped in mercy. And here is another truth. Angelic visitations are not always dramatic. They may not appear with blazing light and wings. Sometimes the angelic presence is subtle, a sudden atmosphere of calm, a whisper of reassurance, a warmth that comes over you while praying. These are just as real, just as divine, and they are often heaven's way of slowing you down. Chosen one, you must train your spirit to pay attention. Every prophetic dream, every angelic visitation, every spiritual encounter is a divine message. Write them down, pray over them, ask the Spirit for interpretation, because these are the tools God uses to guide His chosen ones. And often they will confirm what you have been sensing in your soul, that it is time to step back, rest, and allow God to refresh your strength. Rest does not come naturally to chosen ones, because the burden makes you feel responsible for everything. That is why heaven often intervenes with dreams and angelic visitations. It is God's way of saying you will not burn yourself out before your purpose is fulfilled. I will remind you to pause. So tonight, when you close your eyes, pay attention. When you wake from a dream that feels heavy with meaning, don't just shrug it off. When you feel that angelic presence in your room, don't dismiss it. These are confirmations. They are divine encounters meant to shift your perspective. And if this word is resonating, If you've recently had prophetic dreams or angelic visitation that pointed you toward rest, I want you to comment below. I received this divine message. Let it be a declaration of obedience, because chosen one, heaven is speaking, and it is speaking directly to you. Why rest is a divine command. Chosen one, hear me clearly. Rest is not a suggestion, it is a divine command. God himself, the creator of heaven and earth, established the principle of rest when he finished his work of creation. On the seventh day, he stopped, not because he was tired. God does not grow weary, but because he wanted to set a pattern for his people. He wanted his chosen ones to understand that rest is part of the holy rhythm of life. The Sabbath was not man's idea, it was God's. He commanded his people to rest, to cease from their labor, to reflect, to be renewed. Why? Because without rest, you disconnect from his flow. Without rest, you become consumed by your own strength instead of depending on his. Chosen ones often struggle with this truth. Because of the weight of your calling, you feel guilty when you stop. You feel like if you are not moving, you are falling behind. But that is not how the kingdom of God works. In the spiritual realm, obedience matters more than activity. And when God says, rest, refusing to rest is disobedience. Think of Elijah after Mount Carmel. He called down fire, defeated false prophets, and stood boldly for God. Yet when Jezebel threatened his life, he collapsed in fear and exhaustion. What did God do? He didn't tell him to go preach again or to fight another battle. He sent an angel with food and told him to rest. Twice the angel returned, reminding Elijah that the journey ahead was too great for his current strength. The instruction was clear. Rest before you continue. This is the divine order, chosen one. Rest strengthens you for your assignment. Without it, you will misinterpret prophetic dreams. You will miss angelic visitations. You will ignore divine messages because your spirit is too clouded by exhaustion. God does not want you running on fumes. He wants you overflowing with his spirit. Jesus himself modeled this truth. The Gospels tell us repeatedly that he withdrew to solitary places to pray. He stepped away from the crowds, away from the demands to be alone with the Father. If the Son of God needed rest, reflection, and renewal, how much more do chosen ones like you? Rest is not laziness. Rest is strategy. It is a weapon in spiritual warfare. The enemy knows that when you are tired, you are vulnerable. You are more likely to doubt, to fear, to give in to temptation. But when you are rested, spiritually, mentally, and physically, you are sharp. You can discern divine messages more clearly. You can recognize prophetic dreams for what they are. You can stand boldly when angelic visitations bring instruction. Chosen one, the command to rest, is God's way of protecting you. He knows that constant battle will break even the strongest vessel. That is why he calls you into stillness, why he sends spiritual encounters to remind you that it's time to pause. Rest is how you reset your spirit, how you align with heaven, how you prepare for the next elevation. And here's a truth you must not ignore. When you refuse to rest, you are trying to carry what only God can carry. You are saying, Lord, I don't trust you to handle this, so I'll handle it myself. That is pride disguised as responsibility. But obedience says, Lord, I trust you enough to lay this down and recover, because I know you will hold it all together while I rest. Understand this. Rest is worship. Rest is faith in action. Rest is your declaration that God is in control, not you. It is your way of saying, I am chosen, but I am also human. I need the strength of the Spirit to keep moving forward. Chosen one, when heaven says it is time to rest, don't argue, don't resist, don't guilt yourself into thinking you are failing by stopping. You are actually succeeding when you rest, because you are obeying divine instruction. And in that obedience, you will find renewal that no amount of striving could ever give you. So remember this, rest is not optional for the chosen ones. It is a divine command established from creation, modeled by Christ, reinforced by prophets, and necessary for every spiritual warrior. To refuse it is to disobey. To embrace it is to align with heaven. And you, chosen one, are being called into that alignment right now. Signs God is telling you to rest. Chosen one, God does not leave his people in confusion. When he says it is time to rest, he will always send you signs. The problem is that many of us ignore those signs because we're caught in the cycle of overwork, overthinking, and overcarrying the burdens of others. But you are not called to miss the divine message. You are called to discern it. Let me walk you through the clearest signs that heaven is instructing you to pause. And as I speak these, examine your own life. Ask yourself, have I been ignoring these warnings? Because chosen one, the Lord does not want you to collapse before your next assignment. He is trying to strengthen you before your elevation. Sign 1. constant fatigue beyond the natural. You are not just tired, you are drained. Sleep does not fix it. Coffee cannot touch it. Vacations don't even help. This is not ordinary tiredness. It is spiritual exhaustion. Your body is functioning, but your spirit is heavy. This is a major sign that God is saying, lay it down, chosen one. Rest in me. Think about Elijah. He wasn't just physically tired, he was spiritually burned out, and God did not rebuke him for it. Instead, he commanded him to rest, to eat, to recover. Fatigue beyond the natural is not weakness. It is a divine alarm sounding in your spirit. Sign 2, confusion and spiritual fog. Chosen one, when you begin to lose clarity, when you can't discern God's voice as clearly as before, when prophetic dreams become jumbled and your thoughts are scattered, this is not a punishment, it is a sign. God is calling you to stillness. A foggy spirit is a weary spirit, and a weary spirit cannot interpret divine messages correctly. When you find yourself saying, Lord, I can't hear you like before, pause. That is heaven whispering, step aside and let me renew your mind. Sign 3, repeated prophetic dreams of rest. Have you been dreaming of water, beds, quiet houses, or being forced to stop in your tracks? These are not random dreams. They are prophetic. God is showing you what your body and spirit desperately need. Angelic visitations often come during such dreams, confirming with the presence of peace or reassurance. Chosen one, prophetic dreams are not entertainment. They are instructions. When God repeats the message, it means urgency. If you've been seeing symbols of rest in your sleep, it is time to obey. Sign 4, angelic visitation, bringing peace. There are times when an angelic presence comes not with a warning, not with battle instructions, but with overwhelming calm. You might wake from prayer with a blanket of peace around you, or you might sense a holy presence during the quiet hours of the night. That peace is not random. It is heaven saying, I am with you. Be still. Too often, chosen ones dismiss these visitations because they expect the supernatural to always be loud and dramatic. But some of the most powerful angelic encounters are subtle. The peace itself is the message. Rest. Sign 5, frustration and resistance in everything you do. When God is commanding rest, He will sometimes block your progress. What once flowed easily begins to feel like pushing against a brick wall. You try to make things happen, but nothing works. This is not always the enemy. Sometimes it is God Himself stopping you because He does not want you to advance in your own strength. Chosen one, when doors close, when resistance increases, pause and ask, Lord, are you calling me to rest? Many times the answer is yes. Sign 6, emotional breakdowns or unexplainable tears. Chosen ones carry so much. You encourage others, fight for others, pray for others. But when the tears begin to flow for no clear reason, it's often your spirit's way of crying out for rest. God uses even your emotions to signal when enough is enough. Those tears are not weakness. They are prophetic indicators that you must pause and be renewed. Sign 7, a holy stillness falling over your life. Sometimes everything around you goes quiet. Friends drift away. Opportunities slow down. The noise fades. This is not abandonment. This is God creating sacred space for you to rest. He clears your schedule because you refuse to clear it yourself. That holy stillness is not punishment. It is preparation. Chosen one, do any of these signs sound familiar to you? If they do, don't run from them. Don't harden your heart. These are divine messages sent for your survival. God knows the weight you carry. He knows the battles you face. And He knows the strength you will need for what is coming next. That's why He is telling you now, rest. And let me address the guilt. Many of you feel guilty when you stop. You feel like you're being lazy, like you're letting people down. But that guilt does not come from God. It comes from the enemy who wants you to destroy yourself through overwork. Heaven never condemns rest. Heaven commands it. Remember Elijah. Remember Moses. Remember Jesus Himself. They all paused. They all withdrew. They all rested. Not because they were weak, but because they were chosen. And if they needed it, so do you. So I want you to declare it boldly right now in the comments. I receive this divine message. Write it, chosen one, as an act of agreement, as a sign of obedience, as a step of faith. Let heaven and earth bear witness that you hear the call and you will rest. Because the truth is this, ignoring the signs only delays your destiny, but obeying them prepares you for breakthrough, the spiritual encounter of stillness. Chosen one, have you ever wondered why God sometimes pulls you away from everything? Why suddenly the noise dies down, people stop calling, and life feels still? That stillness is not emptiness. It is a spiritual encounter in disguise. You see, stillness is where God whispers. The enemy shouts, the world distracts, but God speaks in the quiet. When you enter into stillness, you step into the very environment where divine messages can be heard clearly. This is why so many chosen ones receive their greatest prophetic dreams and angelic visitations during seasons of silence. Think of Moses. He did not receive the 10 Commandments in the middle of a crowd. He climbed up the mountain into solitude where he was alone with God. It was in stillness that heaven wrote on tablets of stone. Think of Jesus. He often withdrew from the multitudes, even from his disciples, to be alone in prayer. And it was in those quiet encounters that his strength was renewed for miracles, for teaching, and for the cross itself. Chosen one, God is not trying to isolate you to hurt you. He is setting the stage for a deeper encounter. When life grows silent, when stillness surrounds you, do not panic. Do not assume you are forgotten. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. The silence is the soil where revelation grows. In stillness, you learn to recognize the subtle movements of the Spirit, the gentle nudge, the quiet conviction, the soft reassurance that heaven is near. These may not feel dramatic, but they are powerful. Angelic visitation often comes wrapped in silence, not thunder. Prophetic dreams come when your mind is still enough to receive without distraction. Divine messages come when you stop running and sit in his presence. And here is a secret. Stillness is warfare. The enemy wants you restless, anxious, and distracted. But when you embrace stillness, you cut off his access. You starve his influence. You silence his lies. Stillness is your shield. It is how you guard your spirit against confusion. But let's be honest. Stillness is uncomfortable at first. Chosen ones are used to movement, to caring, to fighting. So when God slows you down, your flesh resists. You feel bored, uneasy, even frustrated. That is because stillness exposes what is inside of you. It brings hidden wounds to the surface. It confronts you with yourself. And that is exactly why it is powerful. In that stillness, God heals, God restores, God rewrites. Elijah experienced this after his collapse. He went into the wilderness, exhausted, asking God to take his life. And where did God meet him? Not in the fire, not in the earthquake, not in the wind, but in the still, small voice. That whisper carried more power than any dramatic display. It was stillness that restored him for his next assignment. Chosen one, maybe you're in such a season right now. Everything around you feels paused. The noise is gone. The doors are quiet. And you are asking, Lord, why does it feel so still? Hear me. It is not emptiness. It is encounter. God is pulling you close, silencing the distractions so you can finally hear him without interference. Don't despise the stillness. Don't try to run from it. Don't fill it with noise just to feel busy. Learn to embrace it. Sit in it. Pray in it. Journal what you hear. Watch how prophetic dreams begin to increase. Pay attention to angelic visitations in the quiet hours of the night. Recognize the divine.